Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Rochester Press Box. Are we having fun yet? I'm Bill Pucko, and joined by Pat Duffy. Pat, as always, you're wearing the uniform. What do you got on today?
Well, the Sabres have been airing their classic games on MSG, and I've been watching all these old games, so I pulled out the Joe Juno 1999 Stanley Cup Finals sweater, because why would you not?
I thought with a remote location, too, that it might be a little dangerous to ask you what you were wearing for fear to what the bottom half might look like.
I was this close to wearing my Celtics players issued robe, and that's it.
And that's it. Okay. Well, we could do without that. Tariq Spence, thanks very much over the last 6 weeks. Sitting in the host role, you did a great job. Good to have you back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back. It's great. I'm just so happy you didn't ask Duffy to stand up, because Lord knows what he's got on. If anything,
I can move this down.
Go ahead. No, please, gosh, no.
There's some things that are out of our control right now that we really don't want to. So, look, thank God for the NFL, right? They've given us some things to talk about here. We're pretty much through free agency, Tariq. Outside of what the Buffalo Bills did, how do you think the rest of the teams in the NFL fared?
I think they did pretty well. I mean, you look at, obviously, Tampa Bay did a fantastic job of getting Tom Brady and renewing some interest in a franchise that really had nothing going for itself. But I'm interested in the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers is very interesting to me. You bring in Teddy Bridgewater. You just got Robbie Anderson from the Jets. They decided to move on from Cam Newton. Matt Rule is a rookie head coach in the NFL. So they seem like, and you throw in McCaffrey, they seem like they've got a few weapons to play around with to make some noise in the NFC. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I think it's nice as a human interest story that Teddy Bridgewater is getting a shot. Who would have thought when he got hurt with the Vikings back, what's it been, 3 years ago, that he was really going to have this kind of an opportunity with a good football team?
For Teddy Bridgewater, remember, this is a guy that everybody thought was going to lead that Minnesota franchise. And here we are a few years later with a chance to now lead the Carolina franchise. It's a great opportunity in Carolina. They're the team to watch if we get to football.
Yeah. Pat Duffy, who do you like outside of Buffalo and what happened in free agency?
I find what Arizona to be doing very interesting. Not only do you bring in a guy like DeAndre Hopkins for almost nothing, but you unload an albatross of a contract in David Johnson. You got to put quarterback of the future. You got a coach that I think was overrated, but knows how to do one thing, and that's throw with speed. You have tools now in place. A veteran wide receiver, Larry Fitzgerald, is coming back for another year. DeAndre Hopkins stretched that field. Out of nowhere, all of this that team got super scary. And Bill O'Brien may have gift-wrapped a division title and a potential playoff for the Arizona Cardinals. I think if it works, it's going to work gloriously. If it doesn't, it's going to blow up in their face.
Boy, in a tough, maybe the toughest division, too. I think what's cool, too, is that Kyler Murray, in the same vein, I think that Josh Allen is going to get a chance to demonstrate just exactly in his second year in this league just how good he can be because he's got things to work with.
100%. And look at the weapons that he had for himself, right? Like, just think of what he can do with the ball. So imagine being a defensive coordinator. We have to game plan for Larry Fitzgerald and DeAndre Hopkins. Who by the quarterback runs a 3-4-yard dash that has no problem down and down.
Yeah, I tell you, the teams that interest me, I don't know that either one of them has actually bettered themselves. It's just we always involve ourselves with quarterbacks. The Bears going to Nick Foles, who might very well beat out Trubisky there. And the Colts kind of punting on, you think of where they were a year ago before Andrew Luck retired. They look like the next great team in the AFC. And, so now they're bringing in Phillip Rivers. And it seems to me, guys, like those two teams are taking a major step back. Well, it's good discussion. I mean, and there were a lot of quarterbacks moving around. We knew this offseason the NFL was going to at least be interesting. But I think we touched on some teams that really have something to look forward to. So we'll deal with the Buffalo Bills next. You're watching the Rochester Press Box.
Original Bay Goodman Pizza, located on the corner of North Winton at Browncroft. There are 3 ways to get the original Bay and Goodman delivery. Go to baygoodman.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Thanks for joining us in the Rochester Press Box from remote locations. We're talking Buffalo Bills. It was a week ago we had the Diggs trade to kind of kick around. Pat, there were other guys that the Bills brought in. I mean, we identified defensive line and wide receiver as the two areas of need for this team, and they went right out and addressed those things.
Well, yeah, you go get Diggs, and that works for you. You bring back Isaiah McKenzie at a cheaper price than you would have having to tender him. What I find most interesting about what the Bills did in free agency is what they had to do to replace Lorenzo Alexander. They had to go get 3 separate football players to do the job that Lorenzo Alexander was doing by himself last season at 147 years old. There is potential in what they did here, and I am now at the point, although I hate McDermott's in-game coaching, I am willing to trust he and Beane when it comes to the free agents that you've never heard of that are going to make impacts. I mean, you look at Poyer, you look at guys like Hyde, you look at guys like Starlet Tulele, who isn't impacting on the spreadsheet, on the stat sheet, but is causing major havoc along with the other defensive players as well. I have a lot of faith in the guys that they bring in, having no knowledge of most of them.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because, I don't know them either, but they lost 2 guys that we did know. Does that seem like a fair trade to you?
Yeah. I mean, I've talked about it while you were gone. I don't want to pay Jordan Phillips, a guy who finally shows up in a contract year. Jack Lawson took 3 years to come around. You understand why you don't want to pick up that option. And, I mean, let's be real. For the money that those guys got, it's better spent elsewhere on this team, especially when you're going to have to lock down Tre'Davious White and Trey Edmonds and Josh Allen and Ed Oliver over the next 5 years.
Tariq, when we had our first segment discussion, you brought up the Carolina Panthers and you dropped the name Cam Newton. You know, we've got these Carolina contacts all over the Buffalo Bills roster, guys that have experienced McDermott before. Do you see Cam Newton as a possible fit as a backup quarterback in Buffalo?
I don't think so. I think Cam wants to prove that he's still a starting quarterback in the NFL. So I think he'll probably wait it out and get a team that is interested in him starting or competing for the starting position. Let's be honest. For Buffalo, it's Josh Allen. Barring an injury, there's no way Josh Allen is losing the starting position. I do think it puts a lot of pressure on Allen when you put in all these different weapons they now have: John Brown, Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley. I mean, it's basically you can't say he doesn't have any weapons to throw to. Running the football is going to be different, but I like Cam. I just don't think Cam's a fit in Buffalo right now, even though there's a big Carolina connection. I'm not sure where Cam ends up right now. When the music stops playing, he might not have a chair.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, who really has a need that doesn't figure to address it in the draft high up,
It's almost better if he just sits it out and waits a little bit and see where teams go. Let's see where the league, if we're playing in September, let's see where we are. Let's see if any guys, unfortunately, the violent sport guys get hurt. Guys are not performing well. Guys come in and get signed the contracts and they don't look good. So we'll wait and see. If I'm Cam Newton, I have to wait this out through coronavirus, through everything, through free agency, through the draft, and find out where I land. But for Buffalo, I like the way they're spinning it around. What about Josh Norman defensively? I mean, 1 year, worth it.
Yeah, he's this year's Vontae Davis to me, though. Isn't he the guy that was brought in prior to the free agent season, and everyone said, he's really going to help? I don't know.
Well, we'll see. I mean, if it's a one and sort of done year, you might get more out of Josh Allen that could propel you in a league that doesn't have Tom Brady anymore. Yeah. So, I mean, we'll wait and see what happens. Young quarterbacks make mistakes, and Josh Allen could prey on those.
Hey, Pat, I saw an interesting winners and losers in free agency. It is done in SportsIllustrated.com, and they listed Josh Allen on both sides of that equation, saying, it's great he's got the weapons, but now he has no excuses.
But that's what we wanted, right? We want no reason to have an excuse. Listen, if the Bills did one thing, they showed faith in Josh Allen. And the fact of the matter is this: you're going to have to give him a huge raise in 2 years. So you better be sure that when chips are down and all the dogs are running around the prairie. I'm trying to sound like a homie. I don't know. Listen, you need to do this to make sure you got your guy, and I'm happy that they did.
Well, and the other thing too is you get the guy on his rookie contract, and there's a window of opportunity here, especially with Brady leaving New England. Buffalo's the team to beat in that division. If you're not going to go all in now, when are you going to do it?
You got 3 years. You saw what happened in Seattle. You had Russell Wilson on his rookie contract. You were allowed to pay the guys around him. Since that rookie contract ended for Russell Wilson, the team's been good. Has it been Super Bowl worthy? Buffalo has 3 seasons to get it done, and they have 2 first-round picks from the year that Josh Allen came out. So you got to pay both of them big money. Do it now, or it ain't gonna happen.
We are the Rochester Press Box. We'll be back. Here's the Press Box trivia question, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390. Here's the Press Box trivia answer, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390. Welcome back. This is the Rochester Press Box. We are at remote locations. Tariq Spence, Pat Duffy with me. Tariq, like it or not, the Olympics being postponed for at least a year.
Right move. If they can get this done a year from now, it'll be the right move. These athletes, I feel terrible for. They train beyond 3 years. People think, they get ready, they only train 3 years. No, they've been training for this for basically their whole lives for sports. That this is it. This is the sport that they play. This is the track and field. That's it. They don't do anything else but train for the Olympics. So right move, right world move. It's the biggest sporting event in the world. It only happens 4 times a year, but if you can wait a year and get this done the right way, with everybody feeling a lot better, with no coronavirus or no concerns health-wise, it's the right thing to do. I'm sure these athletes will take 7 months of time off to continue to train and do this again in a year.
Yeah, there's so many moving parts to that. It's like they taper. It's like a swimmer will taper for the big meets. These people are on this 4-year cycle, and they're being told that now it's a 5-year cycle. And they also have the whole training regimen that they've been off of for a while, I would imagine, that they've got to make up for. So it's really unusual.
Yeah, it is, though. But would you rather wait 1 more year or wait 4 more years? You know what I mean? And unfortunately, it's in another location. Tokyo could lose out for everything they've tried to build. It's a big process. And I figure, give it a couple more months. Maybe you start it a little bit earlier next year, but you can't have it this year. There's no way it's going to get done. Yeah,
it's funny, like to put this whole coronavirus thing in perspective. The only other time the Olympics have been moved and, in this case, canceled were for world wars. So as far as the Olympics are concerned, this is on the same plane as that. Pat, like it or not, the fact that the NFL draft is going to go off as scheduled.
I get the idea that it might be tone deaf to have it happen while things keep getting worse in this country. I understand that argument, but I have a very selfish reason why I want it to happen. Folks in NFL front offices have been asking the NFL to push the draft back because you're not going to get your one-on-one interviews, your psychological evaluations, and your physicals with the potential players that will be drafted. These general managers and assistant general managers and all these people think they know what they're talking about when it comes to drafting. Even though a guy like Johnny Manziel gets drafted in the first round, passes his psychological evaluation, and becomes insane. Even a guy like Aaron Hernandez, you don't have to go down that road. Here's what I want to see. I want to see these general managers have better or worse drafts with less information, because I'm convinced, even with the tens of thousands of hours that these scouts and coaching staffs, doctors, and all these put in, it's still a total crapshoot. And if they had the draft with limited information, the stuff that they have now, it would be proof whether or not all of the stuff that they think they're doing to be successful matters at all. I want to know. We would finally know.
We would. It's one of those things, like I feel sometimes the NFL gets paralyzed by the glut of information that they have on these guys. We're the Rochester Press Box, and Unfinished Business is next.
Came now to Eichel. He floated one.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us on the Rochester Press Box. We are at remote locations, unfinished business. Time for that now. And as always, Pat Duffy starts us off.
For the last couple of days, I have been enjoying the Sabres Classic games that they've been airing on MSG. The last game in the yard, Game 5 in the 07 playoffs, the 4 overtime thriller against New Jersey back when it was early 90s. Here's what I'm feeling here. I didn't think I would like watching games I already knew what happened. The fun of sports is the anxiety of having no idea what's coming around the corner. But I'm finding something else interesting about watching these games. Not only do I remember every single second of what happened in these hockey games that I watch, which makes me a sad human being, but it's bringing me to another place. It's bringing me exactly back to where I was when I watched them the first time. I remember watching that last game on my couch with my dad, all excited about the brand new shiny Marie Midland Arena and what it was going to look like on the inside. I remember falling asleep in the first overtime against New Jersey back in that game when I was like 6, 7 years old. Watching the old games isn't exciting. It's not giving me the sports that I need, but it's giving me the memories that I am going to have to hold on to get myself through this time, which isn't great. Take a little time, watch an old sporting event you've already seen, because it's going to bring back things in your life that you forgot.
Tariq Spence.
For Karl Anthony Towns, this isn't about just anything that happens to somebody in their family that you just forget about. Karl Anthony Towns made a plea to people out there to do the right thing when it comes to the coronavirus. His mother was in a coma earlier this week, and he took to Instagram to announce how he felt about it and pleading to fans to do the right thing and stay home. Don't do it because Karl Anthony Towns said to do it. Don't do it because you have a family member that could be infected by it or it could affect your family. Do it because it's the right thing to do. Plenty of people are just going out deciding, I want to still have fun. I want to still go play ball. I want to still go to the beach. I want to still go to the bar. Still want to host my party. There's something bigger than here. It's all that Karl Anthony Towns is asking for. It's a little bit of help from you as fans. His mom went through a lot and is going through a lot, and we pray for his family. Let's not be selfish and worry about ourselves. Let's just pray for each other and people that we know and care about, even if they're just athletes we watch on TV.
Well done, my friend. You know, in one way, I'm kind of glad that you guys aren't here because as I present this, I would be able to feel you laughing at me. I had the Tom Brady Dream on Monday night. The Tom Brady Dream. Tom and I were in we're in a locker room setting. It's just me and him sitting at the end of a bench, just talking to each other as any two people might. And I told him the Keith Gretzky story. Keith Gretzky was a player for the Rochester Americans for a season. You know, Wayne Gretzky's younger brother. Wayne Gretzky was the great one. We called Keith Gretzky the good one. That was his nickname. Well, I told Tom Brady this, and Tom just thought that was so funny. So he's laughing, and I'm thinking about, except for Pat Duffy, this is the only guy I know that I could talk to like this. It is the very top of his profession. He keeps laughing, and he's laughing so hard I finally wake up. But I make a point of remembering the dream and then trying to think about what does all this mean. Well, first of all, here's what I think it means. A little self-analysis here. I think Tom Brady is largely inaccessible because he's Tom Brady. Model wife, best at what he does, idolized. But at the same time, he is very... You can picture yourself actually having a conversation with this guy. Like when he came to Rochester on a layover from Buffalo, they got snowed in, and he's chugging beers at a local joint. In a lot of ways, he's just one of those guys. And then I was wondering, now, why did I have this dream at all? And I realized that this stemmed from a letter that the Patriots sent to Tampa. It was printed in the Tampa Times newspaper. These full-page ads thanking athletes are very common. I don't know how common it is that they send it to the other city, but they did. And it's the usual, stuff. You say, oh, thank you, you're so good, all the rest of that stuff. But at the very bottom of the note, it said, to Buccaneers fans and the Tampa Bay community, take good care of him. You got a great one. And I thought, man, that is just perfect. That's unfinished business. This is the Rochester Press Box. Guys, a little bit of a challenge technically, but I enjoyed it. Pat, Tariq, thanks very much.
Thank you. What did you eat before the dream? I just wanted to know.
I know, that's probably critical too. But that actually happened. You don't make these things up. And most people have the sense not to confess about them.
I just want to make sure Duffy doesn't eat it. That's all. He doesn't want to be dreaming about Tom Brady.
Yeah, we'll bring that in next week.
I'll tell you about it later, buddy.
Hey, thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it. This is the Rochester Press Box, and we'll see you next week.